Hello, I'm Max from 7th Memory, and welcome back to Devlog number 8. I first want to apologize for the delay on this devlog. Some stuff came up, so we were busy sorting that out, but now we're good and we'll return to our regular schedule on Mondays at 12 p.m. EST. This devlog will talk about some of the NPCs we developed for Dormen and the lore for the location, as well as some more world building we did, and this kind of creation mythos for the world. To start talking about some of the characters we developed, we have approximately 15 NPCs that will be in Dormen and that you'll be able to talk to and learn more about. We won't talk about all of them here, but some of the more notable ones that you'll encounter throughout your journey and some of the more interesting ones that we had fun writing, we'll talk about. To start, we'll talk about Tess. Tess runs Tarbess's tavern, and she's always running around and very hardworking. For her lore, we decided that she would originally be from Dormen and moved to the capital to start a business. Once her tavern got more traction and got better business, she moved back to Dormen and established a location there in her hometown. And now, over time, her business has expanded even more. At the beginning of the game, she'll now expand out to other locations, so you'll encounter her across the game world throughout your journey. And one of the more important things is that she's a very big inspiration to Zara, who wants to leave Dormen and explore the world as well. In addition, we also have a set of characters that serve as the woodlogging kind of aspect of Dormen. We have Angus and Colton, who primarily build the houses and chop all the wood in Dormen, as well as their son Garrett. For Angus in specific, he's more of the fun one, and he enjoys knitting, but he's also missing one hand. And to really flesh out these characters and give them life, we decided that we would write a couple things about them. We kind of have a core statement that is in their own kind of voice and personifies them. But we also wrote things down such as likes and dislikes, some of their traits, and a general backstory for that character and any other additional notes we might need. So to use Angus as an example, he generally likes his family, attention, and knitting, but he dislikes vegetables, people who aren't grateful for the stuff he does, as well as shirts, which was a little funny. For his backstory, to keep it generally kind of short, he was a leather worker who worked with his grandma who liked knitting, and he picked it up because of her. And whenever she passed away, he kept it going in her spirit. During that time, he'd make trips to the capital for resources, and he met Colton, and he would later move out and go to Dormen with Colton to found a new business. All of these descriptions are a little longer than we're abridging them in the video, but the entire point is that we want the town to feel alive, we want people to have their own personalities and feel like interesting NPCs that have their own thing going on, rather than just people you talk to for a little text of flavor dialogue. And this general system for writing NPCs is just pretty scalable, and it gives us a lot of freedom and things to write dialogue around that we might not have otherwise thought of. Continuing with our descriptions of these characters, we also have Colton, who's the serious one. For him, we decided that he would obviously like his family, but he would dislike things such as broken tools and garlic, and his backstory is mainly about working for his dad's logging business, but later wanting to leave and start his own company when he was dissatisfied. He's also a big fan of vegetables as well. And to wrap up this section of the video, we'll talk a bit more about Jay's family in the game. So Jay's brother was named Trip, and they have a caretaker named Rook. Trip is Jay's older brother, and he's gone missing by the time the start of the story. And independently, Zara and Jay both look for him. He's older than both of them, and he's seen as very cool and collected. But similarly to Zara, he's gotten a little bit tired of the town and wants to explore the world as well, and wants something more. Rook is also Jay and Trip's grandparent, and they've been taking care of them both because their parents have not really been in the picture throughout the story. They're very old and kind of ill, and they're one of the reasons that Jay wants to be able to use healing magic for good. And for the other characters that we mentioned, we've given them all names, ages, and genders, and we've established a little bit about each of them, which should help the town feel a little more real and immersive. One of the other bits of world building we got done was the main legend or creation mythos of this world. And this mythos establishes a lot of past history rather than telling some epic story. Some of the key ideas in this mythos are the idea of the clay children, which represent mortal beings made of flesh and stuff like that, versus the carved children, who are metaphysical beings that serve kind of as god figures in this world. And the carved children are quote unquote gods, gifted the ability of magic to the clay children. And eventually war broke out, and this magic was used to fight in it. And in order to help influence events, since they're metaphysical beings, these gods created a vessel, which was independent of thought and will. And this vessel is commonly seen as a hero, but the way that they ended the war was by sealing all of their gods away, in order to use boundless magic and in return, ban it. And this kind of sets them up as a little bit of a villain character once you find out the truth. And eventually over time, the clay children, or mortal beings, eventually forgot the carved children and forgot about their ability to use magic. And from there on is kind of where the idea of our world plays out. We're obviously going to keep developing this story. It's completely able to just be changed completely, but we think it's a pretty neat introduction to our world, as well as an interesting little mythos that kind of subverts a little bit of what you would expect. To move on to the last part of the world building, we also thought about the architecture of Dormen, kind of going back to the starting town. And some of the key factors we took into account when we thought of this would be the environment, rivers and rain, as well as flooding. Since Dormen is very close to a river, flooding would be a really big concern in the town. So the the idea is that a lot of the village buildings would be on stilts in order to match the natural disasters the town would face and help combat them. And we also took into consideration some of the materials they would have. Obviously, since they're in a forest, there'd be a lot of wood, but maybe a little less stone. We also thought that using clay or wattle and daub could help accent the walls and make buildings stand out a little bit more, at least for the more important ones like the shops. This helps keep the town a little bit varied visually. We also figured that stone would be a little more common in the capital since it's not directly close to a river, as well as in a forest. And since wood buildings would be easier to repair due to the abundance of wood, we figured it would probably be the best to have buildings in here built primarily out of wood. Certain buildings like the tavern may stand out in certain parts of the world due to using a building style and materials that are more found in the capital, which kind of reflects where the business comes from and makes it a little bit varied and makes it a little interesting to the player to consider why a building looks very visually different than others. One of the other concerns for the residents of Dormen is termites, since everything's made out of wood. And to kind of explain that, we decided that there would be a big emphasis on farming garlic, which helps get rid of termites naturally. So this is a summary of all the world building we did this last week. It's really cool and it's added a lot of feel to the game and allowed us to actually start writing a bit more stuff in the future once we get all our systems in place. And the main stuff we're working on now is building out the forest in Dormen. I'll show a little bit of Dormen off in this gameplay footage here, but we also need to work on NPCs, having an interaction and cutscene system for events in the game, as well as integrating shops in the game to buy goods from. We also plotted out the rhythm mode, so hopefully we'll be able to make progress on that soon and show something off relatively soon. Right now we just have a way to count the beats in the game, but it should be pretty easy to sync stuff up from there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Monday with another video. Goodbye.